So, I was making a video. I just wanted to talk about um, a little bit of well-being, health well-being and stuff like that. I've been eating about 60% carnivore or meat-based. Is the best way to go with it to say it. So I cut back for 2 weeks. I've been eating less meat. Just because we haven't bought the food, got the meat and everything. So I've been eating like protein drinks and stuff like that. Majority of that crap going down, right? And and then I've been eating like a lot more low glycemic index plants, and um, it's based on not getting the damn food on time and getting the meat thawed out and everything. And when I do get it, and after I work for 12-hour days, you get back and you shower. 14 hours is invested, 15 hours. And when you shovel all day or you're active, you're doing stuff, you're exhausted, and then you come back and you got to work on different things in the house. It's easier just to blend a freaking protein drink and go to bed than to sit for 2 more hours cooking up some your lunch in the morning, your breakfast in the morning, and for the day again. And so and a lot of times I don't even work out Monday through Friday anymore. It's just too difficult to do that when you're putting in 50 to 60 hour weeks. And then so on Saturday and Sunday, I typically just go grab the weights or the dumbbells, I should say, and some logs and stuff like that, and train with them. I'm wanting to get back into my strongman stuff that I was doing, just not stupid heavy anymore, but doing a farmer's carry and doing military presses and tire flips and sprints and dragging semi tires. Hitting a heavy bag is something that I want to add actually to that too. And but I've got different exercises that I've done for strongman. They're strongman oriented, and then some of them are CrossFit added. And then, but I was doing this stuff before CrossFit was really even out. I used to do this like 20 some years ago. I had ideas that I used to do, and people would be like, "What are you doing? That's stupid." And it ended up being, just different strongman stuff, or it ended up being, well, anywhere from just anything, any kind of weird exercise program. I'd throw it together and I would just run with it and try it for a while. And then, because when I do an exercise program, I was doing 30 some exercises, and I shaved it down because, the time factor. And then some of them were reiterating certain muscles, like, if you can say it that way, meaning, you hit thighs 45 times in a day, it's kind of annoying. And so and then you miss out on other areas. So my point is that you should try to be balanced as possible. And my goal is to get ripped out anyway, and not like I don't want to be big anymore. I don't want to be massed up. I want to weigh no more than 210 pounds. I weighed 270 and I felt like crap. And I wasn't an athlete anymore. All I could do was lift heavy. Excuse me. And but anyway, next Monday, I'm going to start back on a 90-10 carnivore diet, 90% meat based, I should say, and then 10% low glycemic index. And so when I do that, that should really help me lean up, because in 2 weeks, man, I gained a few pounds back. At least I feel like I have. I don't have the cuts that I had when I was eating 80-20 carnivore. And I know that I'm not going to be able to do 100% carnivore as I'm working in the sun and doing expending a bunch of energy out of, I'm just going to burn out really quick, and then the freaking week will feel like 3 weeks. And I think I've got another week working on the drilling rig before I go drive. So a little bit of carbs kind of keep me awake too. You know, it seems like when I don't have carbs, because I have a low amount of body fat anyway, it's got to be under 10 right now. I think it's about 9. I can see a six pack. I can actually start. I see a six pack, and I got the obliques, you know, going. So my goal is to get really ripped out. Like I want to look like Clarence Bass. There's a picture of him when he's got his hat on and he's pulled his shirt open. He's got an 8-pack, you know, and I'm just like, that's what I want to look like right there. Just super lean, and I think I should weigh about 200 pounds when that happens, because I'm 227 right now, and I can see a good 6-pack. So, but anyway, 90-10 should be, it'll be tough for sure next week, but I think it'll work out great. But I want to get back on a little bit of a strongman deal, running sprints, flipping tires, pressing logs, doing heavy dumbbells, not super heavy, but up to anywhere from 60 to 80% of my max. And then I don't know if I'm going to lift logs or not. I just there's going to be certain exercises I'm not doing, just simply because I had an injury last year, and I still feel the effects of it on and off, depending on when my muscles get super tight, you know. But like there's just certain exercises, man, that I really, really like, and I don't want to get rid of them. They've done really good for me. Like the farmer's carry actually built the crap out of my legs really well and helps me with balance. Helps with so many muscles from the feet all the way up literally up through the neck, you know. And then flipping tires is actually really impressive. It's such a great exercise. People don't realize flipping tires, you know, it doesn't have to be like a, you know, like I kept comparing them to heavy squats and a lot. And then I was like, you know, to me, I like the tire because, you know, more than the heavy squats. I never got really good at squats. You know, I only did 550 was my best, and 600 deadlift, you know. And so I wasn't like by any means a super strong guy, but for me, I felt like a badass, you know. So, but as far as the exercises go, I mean, I flip a 390 pound tire for 20 reps. That's my best. And so, but all the muscles, I got a pump similar to, you know, leg pump like I did when I was doing the squats. And, you know, I really like them. I love sprinting and dragging semi tires. That thing, man, that just builds the crap out of your legs. Like, you wouldn't believe it, man. It just, you know, from your glutes all the way down, man, through your feet, just get pumped up too. And I run 25-yard sprints, and man, it feels great. But there's a lot of things that I really like. I was going to go minimalist, and I did for about a few weeks, but I kind of got bored. There's certain exercises I still really love, so I'm just going to keep doing them. It's not very many. I think total it's like 12 or 15, something like that. So it's not a lot, but it hits my whole body, and I feel more like an athlete, a real well-rounded athlete. You know, even though I love the clean and jerk and some body weight exercises, I just I want to really focus and get some good strength. I want to keep my strength that I've got, and I also want to get ripped out. So those are the reasons that I'm doing it right now. And so I just don't have any energy. A 60% meat-based diet just isn't good enough for me. So I'm gonna have to go to 80. And I actually talked to a vegetarian the other day, yesterday in fact, and they felt bad for the animals, you know. And you know, we were talking there, you know, just how come you like, you know, I mean, you eat a lot of meat, you know, but you love animals and stuff like that. And I get it, you know. I do understand. You know, I've pet cows, and I've, you know, pet pigs, and fed them both, and of course I have dogs and cats and stuff like that, and I've had horses, and I've fed chickens, and I've done all that. But when I compare myself to, when you think about your health, like right now I feel like garbage all the time. I did vegetarianism for 2 months, and or I'm sorry, let me restate that. I did veganism for 2 months, and then I did vegetarianism for 30 days. Um, when I did veganism, I dropped, I want to say it was 26 pounds, 20 something, 23 to 28 pounds, somewhere in there. And I followed a program from some guy on the internet, and I bought all the stuff, man. I bought everything that they had me buy, and I admit the first week, man, I felt pretty good. Besides having to go to the bathroom every freak, I think I pooped like, I don't even remember, like 12 freaking times. My stomach hurt all the damn time. I had terrible gas, and they said that would go away. It never went away. But within like after 6 weeks, I felt like garbage, and I mustered through the last 2 weeks of the 2 month period, and I didn't feel good at all. I felt sick, man, all the time, and lethargic, and so I couldn't even work out, man. After the first month, I was done, and so I went back to the American Standard diet and got fat, and I had really high blood pressure, but I was working out and I felt so, better than so. But then I went on a vegetarian diet because I got convinced by someone that there was an athlete that I should do that. So I went on it, and I did what they said, and I followed a program offline again, or online, from online. Yeah. So anyway, I followed that for 30 days, and that was actually pretty grueling. I just, veganism was harder, but I don't know if my body was just like, didn't want to go through that again. So eating the majority was of plants, I just didn't feel very good. So after a little bit, after 30 days, I gave it 30, and then I quit, and I went back to the American Standard. And then I went back to my energy drinks and my pop, and then I got sick again, and then Standard American sucks, obviously. And so I call it American Standard, but I don't know if it really is, but more of an oil-filled American Standard diet. So anyway, I went and did a paleo diet. It was pretty good. I've done a lot of different diets, but I went to and tried the carnivore diet. I went on 100% carnivore. That was freaking really, really difficult, but I was scared. And so being afraid pushed me to go through it, because I kept having high sugars. I was afraid of needles at the time, and I didn't want to be diabetic. And so my sugars were almost 200, and so I dropped them all the way down. They were sitting around 100, within about a week. And my energy levels, they weren't very good though, but I felt normal. I felt normal for once in my life. I didn't have, peaks and valleys in my mood and and how I didn't feel like falling over. I just didn't, like, sometimes I feel like, I felt like manic, like, oh yeah, I feel so good, sugar rush, and then I just crash. And so as soon as all that crap was out of my system, on the carnivore diet, that was difficult to get to that point. But once I got to that point, I felt pretty damn good. And don't get me wrong. Like, my family will grab some Mountain Dews, or they'll grab, a fountain Pepsi, and I'm just like, man, I want to drink one, but I know better. I know that it'll do the same thing it did for years, which is jack me up right up to 180, 200 pounds, and I don't want to feel like that no more. So plus I'm getting ripped out, man. I feel really good, man. Like, I look in the mirror now, and I'm just like, wow, I look, and I compare my old pictures, man, just like freaking 6 months ago, man, a year ago, 2 years ago. I looked at a picture of me, man, when I was like 3 years ago. I was 270, 2.5 years ago. And man, I was freaking terrible looking, man. I looked older than I do now. I looked, I just felt like crap. My gut was bulged out. I'd bend over to tie my shoes, man, and like felt like I was gonna vomit or my testicles were gonna shoot out through my socks, you know. And because all the pressure, you know, my gut was so tight and so big, I remember the first time, and I was 270. I woke up, weighed myself 270. I was like, holy crap, man! Yeah, I weighed myself a little bit, and I was a lot because the last time was 263, and I was 270 that day, and I was still massing up and everything. Wanted to be this heavy lifter guy, you know. My goal was to hit 300 pounds, but man, I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack every time. I'd lay down in bed and wasn't sure I was gonna get up in the morning. I really didn't know if I was. I'd walk up 2 flights of stairs. The first one, I was like, "Oh man, I feel dizzy." And the second one, I felt like I'd run a damn mile, and I felt like garbage. And anyway, the day that I weighed 270, I went to tie my shoes, my boots, anyway, to go to work, and I couldn't reach them. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" You know, I can't tie my boots. You know, and I was so, and my knees hurt, so I couldn't throw my foot up on top of my other leg, like, you know, some people they cross their leg and tie their freaking shoe. I couldn't do that. And when I forced myself, I pulled myself to get to my shoe. I had to pull my leg just to get there. I felt like my testicles were really, literally had tons of pressure on them, and they hurt just to try to do that. And so my wife's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm stupid." I said, "I went and did something that I shouldn't have done. You know, I got bulked up and there was no reason for it. I'm not an athlete anymore. I'm sick and I'm tired and I'm bloated and overweight. I'm not going to do this no more. I'm going to cut weight." Um, so I did, you know, I just started dropping weight and doing what I wanted to do. Um, but I was having a lot of health issues back then. And compared to myself now, I look back and think, man, I don't know how I didn't get diabetes. I don't know how, you know, I didn't have a heart attack. I went in, my cholesterol was almost 600. That's insane, man. And the woman, like, she said, "Oh, we need to get you on medicine immediately." And I said, "No, I'm not getting on any medicine." She goes, "You have to." And I said, "I don't have to do anything. I'll just eat fish and eat garlic and it'll come down." Because one affects the high, you know, cholesterol, one affects the low, you know, the HDL, LDL. So I did that for a year, went back, and it was perfect. It was sitting perfectly in where it's supposed to be. But I had cut 20 some pounds too, and but I still felt super heavy in the you know 240 range, and man, I was having sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is kind of scary, man. Like, because you just wake up and you gasp for air. You know, it's just like you're getting your ass choked out every night. You know, by an invisible force, and then you know if you, I don't understand. Like when I look back on it now, you know, I was a kid. I got into bodybuilding, and I was, you know, focused on that. And I was like, man, I'm gonna get big. I'm gonna get big. I'm gonna get big. Instead of, you know, you know, not because you don't know, you know, Muscle Fitness doesn't. A lot of these magazines, they don't tell you, and plus, you know, I was getting Powerlifting USA, and they'd sit there and make fun. Powerlifting USA was really good for that. They'd have these writers or these powerlifters that would talk crap about people being people doing cardio. You know, it was that stupid. And there was a guy who stood up with like 700 pounds and had a heart attack and died right in front of his family. He was like 40 years old. That's how stupid it is, man. You know, and you think it's just not. It's just not. There's no point in it. I mean, just so you can say you lifted a certain weight, you know, like I'm a badass, you know, but I just died of a heart attack because, you know, I never walked, I never did anything. You know, that's not being an athlete. Just because you're strong doesn't mean anything. You know, just, you know, doesn't mean that your heart's strong. I mean, in an aspect of endurance wise, you know, I mean, obviously the valves are strong. I mean, it's struggling to, you know, to close, and then boom, you get the strength, you know, obviously. So, but even heart surgeons are saying that it's not really great to lift super heavy because your, you know, your blood pressure can just, or you know, your valves won't close and your blood pressure changes, you know, stuff like that, long term. And so, one of the biggest things that I was really focused on after, because I started getting scared and I was like, oh, I can cut weight anytime I want, and I couldn't, because I've always been able to cut weight pretty fast if I wanted to, or gain weight pretty fast. But I had gained, from the time that I was in my 20s until I was 30s, I had gained 70 pounds from weightlifting and eating heavy and stuff like that. And I just measured myself here recently to test, to measure how much muscle I'd lost, or size I lost, not necessarily muscle, but I lost 2 inches off my thighs. My waist lost 2 inches, and my calves lost 2 inches. That's a lot of freaking size, man. Like, you don't think, 2 inches is only like 2 inches, but circumference wise, you're thinking, is that really that much? But it really is. I picked up a bag of 50-pound dog food, man, and I've lost almost 50 pounds already. And I picked it up, I was like, man, this is actually pretty heavy, because I curled it up with one arm, and I'm like, it's actually, I was carrying this crap, no wonder my feet hurt all the time. No wonder I had stomach issues, and I was tired constantly, like, I can't, like, I see some of the professional lifters, man, and they just mass up, and they take steroids and growth hormone, and they take insulin, and they take all this stuff to get to a certain point, and then they become sick, and then they're, and I think, how the hell, I can't even imagine how crappy they feel when they put on 100 pounds of muscle, over so many decades, or a decade or whatever. But then again, you look at a lot of the older 70s bodybuilders, and they're ripped out now. They don't want to be big either. They know better than to be like a mass monster. And all these people are going to cut weight. Dorian did, Arnold did, Kai Green will. They look really cool. I think they look amazing, but I literally wouldn't want to go back to not being able to tie my shoes, and not being able to run a mile, and not being able to, like, when I lay down, I feel like I'm going to have a freaking heart attack. That I don't miss those days at all. I like, I like feeling like when I tie my shoes that my vessels and like my eyeballs and my balls aren't going to shoot off me, So I'm just, I know I'm not going down the right path. Anybody that wants to cut weight and get somewhere, you should really consider doing low glycemic index and meat-based diet. Look up Sean Baker, Dr. Sean Baker. He's got some really good info. That's what saved I believe him and Joe Rogan saved my life with that video, that podcast, or whatever it was, on YouTube. It did change my life dramatically. I was literally on the edge of gonna have a heart attack and gonna have diabetes, and it was just a matter of rolling the dice on which one I got first, and then all the stuff was just gonna fall at that point. I had severe panic attacks. Everything was just not going well for me. But honestly, they're almost gone, man. They're almost gone since I've been on this meat-based diet. Just my mind is better, clearer. And I wanted to go back to really quick when I was trying to get on the point of, when she asked me, how do I eat those animals and then pet the other ones and be friends with, like, I got cats and dogs, but I can go kill and eat cows and pigs and stuff. And the answer is, if I have to feel like garbage, in my life, and get sick and die early by eating just plants, being a vegan or mostly vegetarian, then it's not worth it. I feel bad that it's got to be that way. I really do. I don't want to have to kill anything. But, it's the same thing when I've fished. You gut them and cut their head off and cut everything off, and then you fry them and you eat them. That helped me with my health for that day, for that moment. And it's do I feel bad that I had to kill it? Yeah, slightly. You know, I don't know why I'm like that. You know, have a bit of sadness for animals. I look them in the eye and think, you know, it bothers me. It really does. But I don't want to. If I had a choice of looking looking at my family dying of diabetes or sicknesses or whatever, or us being just sick all the time, you know, or do I need to butcher that animal and get what I need from that animal to survive, then I'm gonna have to kill the animal and survive at a higher plane, a better health existence, you know, for myself and my family. So, and it sucks. There's never gonna be plants that are gonna make up for the meat. They always say there will be, but there's not. People, you know, these plant-based companies try to sneak that crap in there, and it doesn't do you any good. You don't feel good. You don't, you know, it might taste good, delicious, but then, you know, it's sure, and the nutrition, they might pack it with nutrition, but it's going to be different still. You're not gonna have the same kind of good nutrition, and your body won't utilize it the same, and you're not going to feel right. And so eventually your health will deteriorate slowly, of course, you know, and all of a sudden you'll be that sick person, and you'll be like, what happened to me? If you want a scary thing, look up vegans and the progression of vegans. Even vegetarians are the same way. You know, they go through this health thing, and they this health decline, and they unfortunately, you know, they start out looking normal, and they get in it for the reason of, you know, not hurting animals and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, it's like year after year, you know, they start losing hair, their skin looks like crap, they get sunken cheekbones, they look like they're on meth, you know, and they lose teeth, you know, they get different ailments, you know, and it starts coming out, man, and they don't look good at all. They look like they're dying of some, you know, random disease, which is, you know, it's really sad and scary too. But I put my dogs on mostly meat-based diet and took most of their dog food away, and they've cut weight already. Like, they've leaned up. They are not like, the one dog is really, he was always crabby and attacking everything. Now that he's on a meat-based diet, the cats rub on him, and, you know, he wags his tail and he's happier. You know, we're still fighting his cancer. You know, he got a skin melanoma type thing on his nipple, and they cut it off, and then the one vet gave him something, we put it on there, and then the tumor like swelled up and huge, where they cut his nipple off, and it grew massive. Like, within, I don't know, like a week or two, it grew. It was insane. We went back in there and they cleaned it out, you know, and stitched it up, did some more stuff to it, and then I brought him in a third time, and they're like, we can't do nothing for him, he's gonna die, just let him live how he is. And I believed him, and I went to another vet. His tumor was like as big as like half of a fucking brick. I mean, it was massive. And I told him, I said, this is what they told me, can you please help me? I should have been in here sooner, you know, I felt like complete garbage. And they're like, yeah, we can take it, we can cut it out. So they did, and then he went in again for a fifth time. Actually, I'm sorry. All in all, he had 4 surgeries total, 2 with the new vet, and then they told me recently that they can't get rid of it a 5th time because they take his skin with him. And his tumor's already back, and it took like 2 months, and it grew back, and it's almost as big as my fist already. And I'm fucking upset, you know. I don't know what to do. I've been giving him anti-cancer herbs, I've been giving him shark cartilage, I've been giving him all this stuff, you know, multiple times a day, and I exercise him, I play with him, I brush him, and put this certain kind of cleaner on his belly and clean him up multiple times a day, you know, and he's just before work and after work, and he's losing the battle, you know. I don't know exactly. It's right by his penis, you know, and I don't know. It's gonna just hit him one of these days. They told me that it's gonna happen where he won't be able to pee one day, and then I'll have to put him down within, you know, a few hours. And so I'm upset about that. I've been trying to fight it with herbs, and we're still losing. Tumors don't play around, man. They grow fast, super fast, and I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm upset. I've had him. I'm the fourth owner. People just throw him away like he's garbage, and then I've been there for him and raised him in a good family. He doesn't get beat on. He doesn't, you know, everybody else was hurting him and everything, and they just, you know, threw him away. And I've been raising him for a few years now. He's older. He's not quite 10, but he's an Alapaha Blue Bulldog. But he's a good kid, you know, a good puppy. I'm not even sure how old he is. No one really knows, because he's he came from Idaho, went to the valley, went to Rock Springs again, like to another owner, and then so I guess I'm like the fifth owner. But anyway, put him on a meat-based diet. He's cut weight. He was 90 some pounds because of the tumor, 99 pounds. They cut it off after surgery. He was like 92 pounds. He went in again. He was 87 pounds, and I put him on a meat-based diet. Now he's 80 pounds. He gets exhausted really quick. You know, we take him out, and I'll walk with him, you know, and I'll jog with the other dogs, come back for him, and he'll jog for about 100 feet maybe, and just start walking. And then I always bring water with us, you know, and so, but we started bringing him in the truck because he needs to be able to, we need to be able to, you know, not walk him back a freaking mile, you know, because he's just too exhausted. And so put him back in the back of the truck, and I jump up in there with him, and we drive home. But we got two other dogs too, and you know, we have a Great Dane mix, and we also have a German Shepherd, and both those dogs were rescues too, because people are garbage. They just throw dogs away like they're nothing. I rescued a bunch of cats too, you know. We found a couple cats. One of them had its eyes exploded, and from